Hello and welcome to day 11 of our January challenge 2026, working on Karen's beautiful piece, The Grey Heron Stands. We are going to do the answering phrase to what we learnt yesterday now. So in time-honoured fashion, I'm going to play yesterday's going into today's for you to hear and just listen and notice what's similar, what's different. How is it answering it? How is it repeating it? Is it repeating it? What's it doing? What's it varied? You will be pleased to see a thinner left hand. Rich chords, rich sound, but less busy left hand going on. So from yesterday, we worked really hard on this yesterday. So here's yesterday's going into today. Okay. 2. That's leading into something else, so we're not going to worry too much about those last 3 notes there. Okay, it wasn't my best playthrough of the newer section, I must say. I did a funny thing where, because there's a rolled chord in this left hand, but you notice it's got the downward arrow, so it's not a taddy going up. It's an tar? I don't know. It's going down anyway. And I was ready for that, but I wasn't ready enough because I just played the first note and left these other 2 on. So we've got this contrary motion where we've got a taddy going up here and then the reverse heading down that way. So we've got this going on. So that's the first point to really sort of be aware of. Did you notice our melody though? G, F, E, D, E, F, G, da, dee, da, da. It's like we did yesterday. G, A, da, dee, da, dum. It's that same melody coming through, but we're down the octave. We have that lovely pattern again, 2-3-2, 2-3-2. We have that really nice pattern. We do have a little grace note. So we have our rolled chord, Italian. And notice how it's been written out. It's actually been written out, I say rolled chord, it's been written out as grace notes. Okay, then I would play the G on its own. Let me think actually, would I? Well, your options are, you can play the G on its own with a finger 2, and then put all 4 on, and then we have a throwaway thumb. So we go 1, 2 really fast, we're aiming for the 2. Or you can immediately place all 4, and you have to remember to put the thumb back on. I prefer, those that know me will not be surprised by this, I prefer the 2 on its own and then coming in with the 1, 2, 3, 4. Because for me, I then do a better grace note. My grace note is more of a grace note. I don't emphasize it. I'm leaning into the finger 2. When I go on with all 4, I sort of, because I've had to bring the thumb back out, I then end up pushing it a bit too much. And it becomes da-dum. Food for thought for you. Try it a couple of different ways. Make your decision and write something in. Okay? So that having made your decision, you then consistently do it. Okay? So for me, I am going to write in, when I find my pencil, I am going to write in that I want to do the 2 on the G. I'm going to put a comma to let me know to come off, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And then as ever, we would come off after that 4, so I might do another comma. I don't need to write every finger in. Okay, so if we try that right hand together, we've got the G going to an A. Now, previously when we were doing these, we were doing our 3-2 to make that a lovely top note. But we have these grace notes creating this rolled effect. So So I'm going to be going to a thumb. So 2 on the G, then into the CFA. Then however you're going to do this next part, it's a G, and then the G's repeated for our grace note. Okay, so I'm going to come off. Yeah, there's still a bit of practice for me to do there as well. Okay, and then we'll come up to put the 3 fingers back on, E, F, G, coming off, and then 4 in a row down to the C. Okay, that's quite familiar as a shape now. Left hand underneath it, so it has an F, one of those, the F octave, so think about where the thumb's going, just open up the hand and allow finger 2 to just fall onto that C. And we're going to do a downward, so now we're aiming. So again, we're throwing away 1 and 2 really. And notice how my hand is travelling. I'm not trying to keep my hand still and get a decent sound on that bottom note. I'm going to struggle. I'm going to travel. Send my hand over it, which also can create the momentum to bring my hand back up, because I've sort of put something behind it and then it's coming back. If I just sort of stay still, I've then got to think about moving it. Whereas that becomes the next natural thing. Now I've got a B here, harmonic. Okay, now I don't know, my pencil marking for that's quite pale, it didn't mark so well. But because I have the red C and the A marked up, and my configuration here is fairly even, I can know that I need to be sort of somewhere between where my red mark for the harmonic is and my A mark. They're just subtly different, so it's going to be just in between those. So I can use those as my visual anyway. Okay, so we've got the rolled chord, but the downward one, so travel, come round, and being able to go onto there. Okay, so again with our harmonic, let the soft edge of your hand be the thing that presses against the halfway point. Pluck above and move your hand away. Okay, you leave the pressing long enough for the pluck so that it is plucking a half string, and then come away. Okay, then a little sneaky high note, treble clef for 1 bar, all the way up to a G and a B. Okay, so we just played a B here, so that's helpful, going up to a B here, and the right hand has just played a G before it as well. So those are our clues for our 2 notes. It's also just inside our coloured strings up here. I know it's a bit of a tricky place to see sometimes, especially with glasses, but we're all the way up to there. That is somewhere that will probably need your focal attention, so we need to be confident with what's happening so that we're not also trying to read that on the page too much. Da, 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 dee, da, dum, ba, da, dum, da, dee, da, and then we're straight back down. We're going to do an A and an E. Now personally I like doing 4 and 2 for that. You can do 1 and 3. Now it's okay, no problem with that, or 4 and 2. My liking of the 4 and 2 is because of where I'm going next, which is back up here a bit. If I was going to be going lower, 1 and 3 would help me be on my way down. So, because I've just been up high, coming with 2 and 4, but trying not to sort of reach for it, but let my elbow do that lovely moving that it frees me up to do. So the A and the E. Okay, so if we do that left hand all together, just the left, so we'll count you in, lots of space and time. That's the reason for trying this now. So 1 and, so we're doing the F1 going down, ready? Let that shoulder drop away. 1 and 2 and 3 and down, and ready for your harmonic, 3 and. Moving all the way up for the G and the B, 3 and wait, play, 2 and 3, A and E. Okay, all right, so we're down there for that. If we put that together with our top hand had the G to the A, which this time we are placing 2 to 1 because we're going to do our tadium. And then we've got our, and then we go on with 3 notes back up to the G, coming off, and then 4 notes down to the run down to the red. and letting the sound go away as we do that too. Okay, putting that together then. So, notice that is an F chord happening there, the red, the black and the A. Black, A, C would be an F triad. So we've just got an inversion, a turning around of that. Left hand here, F, C, F. Okay, so G to the A in the top, nice and steady. 1 and 2 and loud, and 2 and doom. Yeah, okay. The timing of this will almost be easier when we go a bit faster. So putting that in at a slow speed can make it feel a bit random, whereas if it's in our lovely flow as we're going through, it'll just be a beautiful ringing bell above the top kind of thing, okay? Or a drop of water landing. Okay, let's try that again. G, A. Ready with that left hand? Okay, take a breath. Remember to breathe out as well. 1 and 2 and 2 and ready, going high, and 1 coming down. Good. Our next part, the right hand is going to go 3 2, stepping down, 2 3 2, stepping down, 2 3 2, like it did yesterday up here. Okay, that same pattern. Okay, so underneath that, our left hand, it goes to a G and a B again. Those are the notes it went to all the way up here, but we're much nearer, much more in our comfort zone of where our left hand goes, so just below middle C, and again it's just inside your coloured strings. So G and B, then we're coming lower and we're going to go B to D. Okay, so notice how that's either side of the red, and it's actually leading us back to red. Open up your octave, so think from your thumb, open up the octave, and we're going to go C, and then put a finger 2 on the B, or maybe a finger 3, because we're going to come back to that red. Okay, so you could go 4 1 3 2, that might be a nice way to do it, or you can go 4 1 2 1. Okay, and you may, depending on how resonant your strings are, my B is quite resonant, so it might be nicer to actually put your finger 2 back on as a damper on that B. If you were to mark that, you might do the little damp symbol, which is a circle with the cross through it, just underneath your music, and then kind of draw a line to the B. Okay, and that's one of those places where we do put a finger back on even though we're not planning on playing that note. So it's an intentional difference from normal, which is why it's worth marking it in, because I can remember that today, but will I remember it tomorrow? Okay, so that's really sitting nicely underneath everything else with the G and the B. B and D, so lots of similar shapes, 2s and 1s. G and B inside the colours, going lower either side of the red, which is leading us to the C. Open up to the C's, go C, 1 2, and replace just to stop that ringing through. Okay, if we put that together with the top hand, so we're going into bar 61, into these last 4 bars of today. 3 2, okay, da dum da da dum da da dum, mezzo forte, mezzo piano, piano. Okay, not as quiet as the pianissimo we had at the end of yesterday, but we've just been forte and we're coming down. So 3 2, and the left hand's on G and B, going down either side of the red, opening up to that red C octave, and damping by going back on. It's as if we were going to play that string again, and then we do have to tell our brain, actually no, we're going to take that off now. Okay, ready with both hands, hopefully. D, E, and G and B in the left, after a steady count, okay? 1 and 2 and 2. Take it down a bit. Open up to the reds. Damp. Okay, in that top hand, I don't really want you to worry about those notes just now, but they are there. Okay, lots in all of that. Can we try that a little bit again? And then you can work on these sections, work on feeding them through. Don't just work on the 4 and the 4, but also the combination over. So you might practice from bar 59, for example, which is where the left hand's gone up high, like that. So boom. Yeah, that'll be coming off. Even just doing those 3 little moves, those 3 bars, just so that it's, again, we don't want to be too stuck in our sections with this. Okay, so I'm just going to play to the end. I will for now go from just before bar 61, so the upbeat to 61, just so we've played that part again, and then work on it, and then I will see you on the play along video. Tomorrow's a rest day, so these last couple of days that have been quite full on, you'll have time to go over those, pull it together, and think about the whole piece again, bringing it all in. Do keep playing the other parts on days where I don't. I want you to keep playing those still, so that you keep building and maintaining and building on those. Okay, so we're going to go D, E, da, dum. Left hand's ready on G and B. Right hand's trying to do these all with 3s and 2s so that we're not blaring out any harsh notes. Ready for our count? 1 and 2 and da, dum. Good job. All right, join me on the play along. And as I say, tomorrow's a rest day as well, so it's all good. You can breathe. Well done.